That's fine. Yeah, no, we're live. So, it's fine. Oh, hold on.
So you do snore at night, let's be honest.
Hi.
Hi, Lee.
Hi, Billy.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good.
For everyone that's listening in, we have Bilal Taha from Sydney Brunch Crawler.
What up?
Just making sure this is all working correctly, and we are good to go.
We're rolling.
Thanks for coming.
You're welcome.
All the way from Sydney.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
How long have you been in the country now?
Probably about 6 days, a week or so.
How you like in America?
San Fran. It's good. It's awesome. Flew into San Fran and met our way here to San Diego with you.
Yeah. Nice.
Drove all the way down the coastline. Got to see some mountains, waterfalls,
Go
countryside.
skinny dipping in Yosemite.
Yeah, exactly. Where the water is straight from the nature.
We also have in the room, for anyone who's listening, if you happen to hear any sound effects, we have Billy's friend Mo sitting over there.
Mo.E4444.
Yeah,
on
Mr. Jiu-Jitsu. And he's too camera shy to come and sit with us, but he is here. And if you do hear any sound effects, if he falls asleep, starts snoring, any of that stuff, we apologize ahead of time. Do you want some elixir?
Yes, please.
So, Sydney Brunch Crawler. This is not, obviously, I don't want to harp too much on your whole Sydney Brunch Crawler thing, but I'm a fan.
Thank you.
This is the Cat and Cloud elixir, by the way.
Oh, wow.
It's delicious. You guys were in Santa Cruz, I believe.
That's right, yeah.
So...
We weren't there for long. We were there for about a day, half a day or so.
So did you come here just to food and coffee?
Essentially, yeah. Well, we've got to make our way down to Mexico eventually.
Gee, life sucks.
For work, I know.
What's in Mexico for work?
It's just like a guild trip with Mercedes-Benz. So just a few of probably about 50 odd people from Australia. They've been sent up to Mexico just as a reward for last year.
Because you're like a shit hot sales person.
I'm rubbish.
Yeah. Bilal Taha, everyone, the most humble person you'll ever meet. Yeah, you're with AMG.
Correct. Yeah.
And
so I've been there for about almost 3 years now. Started off.
I remember the day you started.
Do you?
I really do. Our mutual friend Karim was telling me how you decided you were going to do this and how you figured out you were going to do it, and he was so proud of you. Shout out to Karim.
Yeah, he did. He actually helped me get the job. He's probably my biggest mentor, I'd say. And he kind of said, "Why don't you try this?" And I said, "Well, we can try it, but I don't really know. It's not really my thing."
Yeah.
He said, "You're good with people, just try it." So I tried it, and ever since then, the sky's the limit.
That's one of my favorite things about you. I mean, I think it's the thing that it was the thing that we recognized was a spark, like in both of us. We both knew, we could see that was a similarity in both of us. You were not going to allow your cultural boundaries, and we'll talk a fuck ton about that, but you weren't going to allow any cultural boundaries to stop you from achieving a whole bunch of stuff that you wanted to achieve.
Correct.
And this is definitely a different direction. It
is. Yeah, definitely. I think any career that anyone takes on, most people kind of take it day by day or step by step, not really thinking a few years ahead or in advance. But I think once you grasp that, if you put all your eggs in one basket and you can actually focus on one thing solely, it takes you a lot of places.
Yeah. And yet, having done that, you haven't really put all your eggs in one basket.
Not necessarily, you can't. In this day and age, you can't.
Yeah, no. Well, I think also you've got that kind of scope for the richness that you want to live in life. If I see anything that's different about you than most people, we both come from the Arab culture. Something that I recognize as different you know, this fucking sun can't, it just keeps doing you more justice. The lighting is incredible. It's like the sun is shining directly on you.
I don't mind it.
Yeah, no, I can imagine not. But
sun in San Diego.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Palm trees.
Yeah. Well, life's a lot less
tough here, isn't
tough,
it?
Yeah. But we come from such a beautiful city, from
Yeah.
Sydney, so it's same. But you're different from a lot of the people in our culture in the sense that having grown up first generation in... Are you first generation or second generation Australian? Second generation. But early generation Australian. Correct. We're still kind of confined in those cultural boundaries of doing things that are safe.
Correct.
That immigrant mentality has a lot of great things about it, but it also can be quite stifling. And you don't do that. You're that person who is like, well, I want to be fed by my life. I want to experience a whole bunch of rich experiences, and you're just going out there and doing it.
Yeah. Well, I think that primarily it's based on who you're influenced by.
Yeah.
Or your friends, your circle of friends, your family. Positivity is a key. Being kind is key.
Yeah.
Knowing that you literally can do anything.
Yeah.
Does help prosper and grow.
Did your family put that into you, or where did that come from? Because
I think I've always been around older people, which and them kind of falling or tripping over in life, giving me the advice, kind of helped me in that sense. But I think family, friends, and mentors around you will help support and prosper and only go upwards.
Did you find a lot of that within the culture, within the Arab culture, or did you diversify to get that inspiration?
I don't really think it's in any culture, religion, personality, group. I think you meet different people in life, and you kind of take a bit from everyone, and that kind of molds you as a person.
Yeah.
You can't really look at someone and say, I want to be like them, because you're not facing the same battles that they're facing, or what they went through, you're not necessarily going to go through that. So you're not going to be the same person.
Right.
So I think it comes back down to what you believe in, what you've been through, and how you take on or how you perceive the world through your filters. Do
you seek out people like that, or do they just happen upon your path? I've always been fascinated about that kind of...
You meet a lot of people, but I just think it's being able to understand people, human characteristics, mindset, psychology. There's a few different areas of life that you need to actually understand and base your foundations upon. And
like
once there's a few.
Yeah, no, please go ahead. Like this is the reason that I invite the people that I do on this podcast is because they're people who aren't afraid to fall.
Yeah.
They look outside of themselves for inspiration, but they internalize that and try and build a path off that. So, you know, what kind of areas are we
I've actually got them on my phone. Mo, can you pass my phone?
Mo, will you also do me a favour and turn that light on, please? Mo's become our slave. Thanks.
Call me the podcast slave.
The podcast slave.
So the 7 areas of life that I kind of mold everything to is career, family, financial, spiritual, social, physical, and mental.
Where did that list come from?
I got it off, I can't remember who it was.
Turn it over, because I know your
phone doesn't stop.
Yeah.
I got it off Ramsey Choker, the owner of the grounds.
Okay.
I met with him.
Shout out to Ramsey. He and I have met, I think, once. He has done such a fucking great job with the grounds of Alexandria.
He's so innovative. He's turned Sydney around.
He's been one of the people. You know, Justin Hems has done an amazing job.
I agree.
With everything that he's been doing.
Yeah, he's opened up a new cafe too, just under the ivy. So his club on George Street.
Yeah, establishment.
No, it's the Ivy.
The Ivy. He's opened a cafe underneath it.
Yeah.
What's it called? Do you know?
I haven't been, no, yet.
It's new?
Yeah, it's brand new. It's probably about 6 weeks old.
Yeah, great. Good on him.
But he's never in town. He's always
he's in the States at the moment.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Nice.
A friend of mine opened a restaurant, Chinese Tuxedo.
Okay.
Shout out to Paul O'Donnell. I never one of the farms. But he opened Chinese Tuxedo in New York, and Justin is a part of that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's fantastic. He was Miss G's
in
Sydney.
Yeah.
Paul was the head chef there.
Oh, wow. Very impressive.
One of my favourites in Sydney when I was living there. And so back to the 7 areas of your life, do you fashion your career around those areas or your careers, or do you fashion your life around, or those things around your career? Sorry. How do you approach it?
No, I think the first one. So what did you mention first?
So you fashion your career around those 7 things? No,
my whole life is based around, everything I do is based around that.
Yeah, fantastic. And does that make it easier for you to make choices?
A lot easier.
How so?
Just your decisions are based on your values, and you've kind of shortlisted your values, and they're literally always on your mind, so you kind of know which step to take.
Do you say no to shit a lot?
Yeah, you have to. I think it makes you a lot more attractive when you can say no. Yeah.
The number of people that get shocked by the necessity to say no, and how much it molds your path as much as in my music career. Yeah. It was the thing that defined me as an artist and as a business owner.
Yeah.
In your 2 worlds between Sydney Brunch Crawlers and Mercedes, do you find that you have to be 2 different people in those worlds, or are you, I'm Billy, this is who I am, I get to be the exact same person in both? Because they're both salesy kind of, you're selling something in both.
Correct.
Right.
One's a product, one's a service. So I think at the end of the day, I'm the same person. Mm-hmm. It's just your personality tweaks in terms of how you portray or outlay something. Mm-hmm. Which comes back to your 7 areas and what you believe in, your knowledge as well on the industry, on the product, the people around you. I think all of that kind of plays a role. Mm-hmm. But I'd say I'm the same person if you were to take me out of both kind of buckets. You put me in one, I'm the same person.
So even in car sales?
Yeah. I hate that term.
So why do you hate it?
I hate it. It's just so
But it's what you do, right?
Nah, it's people sales. It's not car sales. Car sales is probably 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s.
So tell me.
Now it's people sales. You can buy a car from anywhere. There's a dealership in every suburb. Probably about 2 in Sydney. There's about between 15 to 20 Mercedes dealerships in Sydney alone. So you can buy a car from anywhere. But a person buys something based on 3 things: product, price, and person. So if you're the right person, the product is the same, the price is the same, the last thing is a person.
Yeah.
So if they like you as a person and you're genuine and honest, then you can't go wrong.
Wow, this really feeds into, and I didn't even think about this while I was thinking about what we were going to talk about, but we're running a workshop later this month for Map It Forward in talking to baristas about how to sell so that they can increase the revenue for the store.
I think it's very important.
As well as being able to fund their own pay rise. And the co-mentor on that is someone from Tiffany's & Co.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
If we had timed it better, you should have been a mentor for her.
I've heard Tiffany & Co. They have a cafe in New York, don't they?
They do.
Yeah, we'll have to try that out.
Yeah. I want them to become Elixir dealers.
Okay.
So we're working on that. But something that we have been talking about, Mark Wallace is the co-mentor.
Yeah.
He has been storefront at Tiffany's for 5 years. He's just left there. And we talked a lot about that, the concept that people can buy jewelry from any Tiffany's & Co. and it's the same price, it's the same product in every store, but they keep coming back to me. My customers keep coming back to me, and this is what we want to capture. I would experience the same thing in coffee. Like my customers could go to any coffee machine in Sydney. Because there's a coffee machine every 5 steps in Sydney. Yet my customers were loyal to me, and other baristas had customers that were loyal to them. You know how that is a thing in Sydney. We want to work really hard towards making that something that starts to happen here in the US, so that people recognize that you are a salesperson. You are selling you as a brand. You are selling you as a piece of performance art. How important do you think it is to your customers to have that experience as a part of buying a Mercedes?
It's all essentially everything.
Why?
I think anyone and everyone has to do or kind of experience sales.
Yeah.
Whether you do it for 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, you have to do it. You have to experience sales. You have to know how to buy and sell. You have to know how to trade, because that's life at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You're trading every day. You might not know it, but you're trading with people every single day. And getting back to putting aside the price and the product, the relationship is probably the most important thing. Because these days, everything's becoming so tangible. Everything can be done online. There's Uber, there's
distance
Airbnb,
between you and
correct. Everything's kind of missing. But if there's a personal relationship, it kind of creates a reason to go back to someone. So
what's the average price someone drops on a Mercedes in Sydney?
Between 80 to 100,000, the average. And
so I guess that's an important part of feeling like parting with that money.
Yeah, correct. Well, it's a different market. A car is something that you physically need a car in Sydney. But with a Mercedes, it's a want. People want a Mercedes, so they have a desire. They're probably a class above the average. So you got to make them feel special. You got to make them feel welcoming, warming, feel like they're part of a group or a relationship that they can...
A club kind of thing?
A club outside of work or their family.
Okay.
So that's they want to be involved in something outside of those two buckets.
How receptive are they to the sales strategy? Is the thing that makes a great salesperson is someone who can execute that without it looking like a strategy?
Yeah, correct. 100%.
Yeah.
It just becomes so natural.
That's why some people are born salespeople and some people...
Correct. You can't really... Gone are the days of walking in somewhere and you can pick it straight away. If someone's trying to be salesy, you're like... You walk into a shoe stop and someone's trying to sell you something straight away without asking how your day was or your personality. If it doesn't come natural, it's very hard. And you can't read it out of a textbook. You can't watch it on YouTube. You can't watch it on Facebook. It's just literally personal. It's experience.
How do you learn how to sell?
It's just repeat.
But you personally, how did you figure out what your approach was going to be? Were you taught it, or did you develop a style on your own?
I think I developed a style on my own.
Because I remember when Karim and I were talking about it, you skyrocketed very quickly with sales. Like you took to it like a duck to water. We're not talking about, oh, I'm sitting here pissing in your pocket. That's not about that. You really did. Like you felt very comfortable doing it, right?
Correct.
And was it something that you didn't have training in sales, did you?
No, I didn't. Cars, I didn't know. If you pop a bonnet, I wouldn't even know where to check.
Yeah, he told me. He knows nothing about cars. He's going to sell Mercedes. I'm like,
key, if you were to say, Billy, go get me a key for a coupe, I'd be like, what's a coupe? I don't know what a coupe is. Is it 2-door or 4-door? like product was never there, but it was just
How'd
a
you get the
desire
job?
to learn. That's a different story.
Okay, can you tell us what the story is?
No, I just applied for the job, and
I mean, getting a job for Mercedes, getting a job with Mercedes in sales, you'd want to...
it's hard, especially at a young age.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So how does someone land that kind of a job having no experience?
It's hard, and I think one of the managers saw something in me who pulled me out after the interview and said, do you actually want the job? I said, yeah, of course, that's why I'm here.
Yeah, I'm not here because I've got nothing else to do today.
I said, I'm not going to 100 other places. I said, I want the job, like, just give me a chance. He said, all right, I'll get you the job. So after that, he gave me the job, and he stuck by me and I stuck by him, and we kind of pushed through together. I think you can't necessarily grow or prosper on your own. You have to have people around you, as I said previously, that will help you grow, that have been through different experiences, that have gone through a lot of negative or hard times, because you can't necessarily grow without, like, through the night. A flower doesn't grow without sunlight.
Yeah.
So,
have you ever had the wrong people around you?
yeah, I have.
I mean, it's an important lesson to learn, is how to get the right people around you, right?
Definitely.
And you have had the wrong people around you sometimes?
Definitely. Well, growing up, I had 2 older brothers, and we went to Granville Boys High School.
Shout out to your 2 older brothers, Ravi and Mo.
Yeah, Mo's gone
He's
very
in Turkey.
far. He's in
yeah,
Turkey.
he's doing great.
He is, and me and Rabs do Sydney Brunch Crawler, so we're kind of putting Sydney on the map in terms of brunch. Now in LA, hopefully we'll do a bit of work in New York as well.
Are you guys looking for people?
Potentially, if there's anyone out there,
Yeah.
let us know. Definitely, more than happy to work with and expand. We're getting Melbourne's picking up at the moment.
Great.
And yeah, I think the food scene in LA is, the population is there. The food isn't necessarily as strong. I'm only saying that because I've tried a lot of food and
Yeah. And when you say strong, you mean strong as Sydney and Melbourne?
Yeah, correct, definitely. It's definitely photogenic. The scene in LA is the go-to scene. Everyone wants to be there. Everyone wants to be seen. And I think if we can help businesses kind of up their game in terms of food and coffee, then they'll be miles ahead.
That's definitely something that a lot of people that are coming to LA and to the West Coast are looking forward to being a part of.
Correct.
Wherever they're coming from, whether they're coming from other places in the US or coming from Australia, particularly in the coffee scene. I saw you guys went to Bluestone Lane.
Correct.
You know they're an Australian company.
Yeah, I realised.
Yeah. Could you taste it in the coffee?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. They started in New York.
Okay.
And they're coming across the West Coast.
Yeah, they're in San Fran, LA.
Orange County. They're making their way.
Wow.
Yeah. Going back to being around the wrong people, I didn't want that to end off with, well, I have been around the wrong people. I've got my 2 older brothers, and that wasn't clarified.
Yeah.
You're not suggesting that your 2 older brothers were the wrong people?
No.
Are you suggesting that they were the wrong people?
I think well, where I was brought up, you're put in a surrounding where you literally see everything in life, and I think that's very important. You can't necessarily have a paved way to go and say, here's your ticket, go through life. You have to experience, you have to try everything. If you don't know what you do, go and work 10 jobs to see what you want to do. If you want to watch a movie, you have to watch trailers to actually know and see what you like and what you want to watch. So I think it's important to experience things firsthand, or actually be in an environment where you can say, hey, this isn't for me, I'm going to step away and try something else.
And was this the first career that you had?
Yeah.
AMG?
Correct. I've always been in sales. I've always been selling stuff, but just casually, not necessarily as a career.
And then Sydney Brunch Crawler starts. I remember when you started that too.
Yeah.
And that took off very quickly. Don't you think?
I think so, but I think we've had a lot of support from our fans.
Yeah. So talk a bit about Sydney Brunch Crawlers and what it is.
It started about, what, 3-4 years ago?
Around the same time that you got the job.
Well, our brother was sitting at my brother Rabi's house one day after he got married, and our brother in between, Rabi and I, Mohammed, who lives in Turkey now, kind of said, you guys know every cafe in Sydney. Why don't you just start a page and tell people? Because we used to get messages all the time. Hey, where can I go tomorrow? What should I do? I'm going here. Where can I go? And it literally just got annoying. So we kind of got to the point where we said, all right, we'll just start a page and we'll put whatever photos we put up that we have already, and we'll just keep posting. So for about 2-3 years, we just kept putting photos that we had previously and photos that we were going to. And then it just started getting bigger. People liked our recommendations. Our photography got better. Our videos got better. And now we've developed a brand that's getting a lot bigger.
I remember people would call me up and say, who the fuck are these guys? And why won't they post about my cafe? Or why did they post this shit about my cafe?
Yeah. I think it's very important too. With a cafe, the scene in Sydney is it's blown. It's massive. It's big.
Outrageous.
So you need. How do you find out about something new, Lee?
Here, while I'm over here. Yeah. You mean in Sydney or you mean in San Diego?
In San Diego.
Oh, Instagram.
Instagram, right?
Instagram's the thing for me that, and I was only thinking about this the other day, particularly with finding out about new music. Yeah. Because when I was a kid, the way I would find out about music is through record stores.
Correct.
And that's changed so much
now. There's no more.
How do you find out about new songs that have come out and music videos you should watch? And the same thing with cafes. Like, how do you find out about new coffee shops and whatnot? I depend on people telling me about where they've been through Instagram and through Facebook before I'm ever going to discover anyway. It's just not feasible for me to go out, being as busy as I am, going out and be like, oh, I'm going to go and walk down downtown San Diego and see what's new. Yeah. No, I don't have time. No. So something like what you're doing is great. I've always wondered though, how do people get to know the faces? How do they get to know that they can trust the people behind the brand? Is that something you guys have addressed as a part of your brand?
I think we're really engaging with our followers. That's what's kind of helped us get to where we are at this stage. We're still small. We're literally very small.
At 60,000 followers, you're still very small.
Very small.
Yeah. What's the goal?
100 plus at this stage.
Like by the end of this year?
By the end of the year,
yeah,
correct,
100 plus. Yeah. I'm like, that can't be the end game.
No, definitely. Well, you got to set yourself short-term and long-term goals. But we always downplay everything, not necessarily overplay. So it gives us more opportunity or more room to move. But getting back to your question, as in why do people trust us? I think our experience and our knowledge in the industry helps base our opinion that we give to our followers.
Talking about that, do you know how I met Rabi?
No.
No one's ever told you this story?
No.
I hope Rabi sees this.
Probably met you at a cafe.
No. So this was really fun. Not so much fun for Rabi.
Why?
So I'd never heard of you guys. Never heard of Rabi. We were doing the first rainbow tasting, the Elixir rainbow tasting in Sydney, and it was secret invitation. Nobody knew about it. That didn't have an invitation. Whispers has started to get out. There was this fucking crazy event happening. 25 people were going to be invited. Karim was helping me with some stuff with regards to some legal stuff, and he had said to me, "Oh, by the way, I want to bring my friend to this." I'm like, I'm sorry, dude, like you can come because you're you, but we don't have any extra places. Like there's no more seats at the table. some more legal shit came up and Karim took care of it for me, and somebody had dropped out, and I said, by the way, your friend can come. I had no idea who this friend was. I said, but do me a favor, make sure that your friend can, like, there's going to be the gods of coffee at this thing. Just, I don't know who your friend is, and they've told me his name. I'm like, just make sure he knows his place at this thing.
Yeah.
He literally didn't even tell me his name. The morning of, I get a phone call from another human that is going to be at the table saying, who the fuck is this guy that's coming to your thing tonight? No one's supposed to know about this. I've got a secret invitation, and this guy just walks up to me and says, you know that thing that you're going to? I'm going to that thing too. And I just looked at him and said, who the fuck are you? There's no way Lee would invite you to this thing. She was like, so do you know this person? Because this person was really insistent that they were coming to this thing. And I'm sure there's no way that you've invited this person, because none of us know who this person is.
Yeah.
And Ravi was at this event. He knew who everybody in the room was. He knew everything that was going on with their business.
Wow.
He knew who they had working for them. He knew what they had coming up. He knew everything. And as I got to know Ravi, I'm like, listen, dude, how do you know more about the coffee industry than anyone in the coffee industry? He knew everything that was going on. He knew people that were getting fired that even I didn't know was getting fired. I'm like, how the fuck do you know this is going on? He's like, I talk to people, Lee. I talk to people, Lee. And I was really impressed and shocked and taken aback by all of that all at the same time, that how this guy had completely mapped the coffee industry in Sydney. He knew all the goings in and out of the coffee industry, and hardly anybody knew who he was. But he knew everywhere to go. He knew what cafes use what coffee. He had coaxed it out of baristas, like that coffee was going to be changing hands. No, this person's going from 7 Seeds to St. Ali, and like all these different things.
Wow.
I'm like, how do you know this? How the fuck do you know this? He would ring me, Lee, is it true that this is happening with Elixir? Like, how do you know? Who told you? Because I have my sources. And then when I found out that you guys were doing Sydney Brunch Crawlers, I'm like, okay, this now makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
He's like the kindest, biggest hearted guy in the whole world. Just knows everything that's going on in an industry that he's never worked in.
I know.
Which was insane.
It's scary, I know.
It was insane. I was getting, and I still field calls about Ravi. People are like, how does he know this stuff? I'm like, he's just a wizard with information about the coffee industry. It's crazy. Has it helped you guys?
Yeah, definitely. He's kind of like a sponge. He sucks information, and it sticks with him. That's probably one of his biggest traits. He's very good with he's very good with people and knowledge. So he's more lovable than me. He's
charismatic to a fault. Like, the guy just stands there and just charms the pants off you. I mean, you two are a great pair with Sydney Brunch Crawler. Like, it definitely is a brand that fits the two of you.
Yeah.
And you seem to handle the attention very well. Do people freak out when you walk into their cafes now?
Oh, not necessarily, no. As I said, we're still small. No.
I know people who freak out when they know that you're coming.
They probably do, but they don't show it.
Okay.
So...
Do you ever experience the people who you ask for a coffee and they make it 6 times?
No, well, it depends. If I'm going there for my brunch crawler stuff, or if I wake up and I just want to go have a nice breakfast or a coffee, I wouldn't really mention anything, just so I don't kind of have to go through the process of being what I can just sit back, relax, and just watch everything happen.
Yeah, I miss that.
I love that. I know it gets harder, so I'm trying to enjoy it as much as I can now.
Tell me, I can't go to a cafe now.
Most people don't know who I am, so it's alright.
It has its pros and its cons.
Yeah.
You know, you walk into a cafe and the barista pretends not to know who you are, and you can see them making 12 fucking espressos
Correct.
before they give it to you. It's like,
why
dude,
is it taking so long?
just make me an espresso. Seriously, I'm just here to read a book.
I know.
I can't remember the last time I went to a cafe and read a book, but
wow. I've been to a cafe before where I waited 2 hours for the food. The chef was just that stressed. He made the entire restaurant, the entire cafe's orders, and then he put mine through after.
what's that feel like for you? Because I would have walked out.
I'll be honest with you, it was very bad because you can imagine our schedules are pretty full on. So when we do go out to on a brunch call, it's back to back. And we can't necessarily spend 2-3 hours at one cafe as much as we'd love to, but it's utilizing our time, which is everyone is time poor. So I think if you can maximize your time with being with someone, that's probably a massive key. Like I can't call you when you're going to work and have an hour conversation. Why? Because your time is more important. So you'll call me back and say, Billy, let me call you back on my time. Yeah. Time is literally the biggest key right now. So I think, getting back to waiting at a cafe, 2 things that people hate in life is waiting and looking stupid. Yeah. So if you make them look stupid and you wait, you've lost already. We put a poll out the other day, and I said, do you like waiting at a cafe? And probably 90% of people said no.
What do they accept as a reasonable wait time?
I think half an hour to 40 minutes.
For food?
Yeah, for food.
Yeah. I remember when I was working in Campos, it was like that long a wait for coffee sometimes. But
wow.
Well, but back in the day,
we
on a Saturday we would do 2,000 coffees, 2,000 espresso based drinks.
Wow.
3 baristas. Like it was insane. And you know, the hospital would ring up and say, can I have 30 flat whites?
That's crazy.
And that would just go into the queue. Harami's asleep.
Go on, I know.
So in...
Let's show everyone. Let's see that.
Yeah. We'll post on Sydney Brunch Crawlers our friend Mohammed, who's...
Here he is.
Yeah, let's see if we can get that closer for anyone who's watching. Our friend in the back there is asleep. He's going to kill us when he wakes up. I'm going to put this here so that you can't see the screen.
Actually, I was in our early days as we were still sourcing and getting to know. I made a trip down to Melbourne just to see the scene over there. Because I think they're a few years ahead of us in Sydney.
Shh, don't say that too loud.
I know.
Everyone in Sydney will hate you.
I know.
You become the Antichrist in that situation.
All right. And then, so I was strolling through the city and we went past, I was on my own and I walked past this cafe and it had first thing I look at is their coffee machine. So they had a good looking coffee machine. So I walked in and there was a few people waiting in line and right in front there was a bus stop. And people would get off the bus and I just sat back waiting. So I made my ordered probably a flat white back then, and I was just waiting and people would walk in and walk out and grab a coffee cup and I'm thinking, did these guys order their coffee or no? So they had their coffee machine which was out, it was like an open window, and they had about probably 10 coffee cups lined on top and then like a money jar next to it. And then I went around to the front and it said $2 for a coffee, but you didn't know what was in it, but it saved you time.
Oh my gosh, what a great idea.
So you literally it was right in front of the bus stop. Some people had their headphones in, they're rushing to work. It was like, I think it was 8:30. This was like 8:29, 8:28. People, their offices are right upstairs. So they'd literally walk in, drop off $2, grab a coffee cup and walk straight off because...
So did it have milk in it? It didn't have milk in it?
Some of them had milk and some of them were black.
Did they indicate on the cup?
Yeah, they indicated, correct.
What a great idea.
It's such a good idea. And it was you're saving time and money. So it was a bit cheaper, but you didn't know what you were getting, but you saved time. And literally I sat there for about 15 minutes waiting for my coffee. That whole row of coffee, there was probably about 10, all went out the door. And then they made, as soon as I got mine, they were making another batch to put on top for the next busload to come through.
What a fantastic idea.
It's such a good idea.
Especially if you're splitting your shots.
Correct.
And
definitely.
And
yeah,
you know, that way,
exactly,
a shot doesn't go to waste that
agree.
way.
And think about it, I think about it, I get a coffee at work nowadays, but if I'm driving to work, the last thing I want to do is stop off at a cafe.
Yeah.
Most people don't have that luxury. They don't have their own businesses. Most people work for people that work on their time, not their own time. So I think you have to accommodate. Time is so valuable to people these days.
Did you struggle getting accepted by the hospitality industry, given that both of you hadn't worked in hospitality?
Yeah, definitely.
What were some examples of the ways that, you don't have to name businesses, I mean you can, but there's no point in it, but what are some examples of ways that you struggled?
I just think when we started off, people were kind of like, who are these guys? They have no experience, they're not in the industry. When I don't think I know how to make coffee. I can make a decent coffee. I think so.
That's some fighting words right there, man.
I'll make you one. Do you have a coffee machine?
No, I don't. I don't make coffee at home.
Put me behind us, and that's and I'll make you something.
Where did you learn how to do that?
I did my course at Toby's.
When?
Probably 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Okay, shout out to the guys from Toby's.
I know. It was a fun course.
Yeah. Look, I did my very first course at Toby's 15 years ago.
Wow. Where was it?
In Chippendale.
Okay, yeah.
Back then, Toby's was a baby company.
Yeah.
But it was, it was the shit back then.
Yeah.
It was, and look, they're making a resurgence now with Cosimo at the helm. Yeah. He's doing incredible things for Toby's Australia. He's fantastic. I can't wait. He and I talk online a lot. I can't wait for him to get in a room and sit and do this podcast. Yeah, he's awesome. A great guy, a massive innovator.
Yeah.
He's doing some fantastic things there. But back in the day,
the
guy who heads up their coffee program in Asia, Alvaro, he was new into coffee. He was their coffee trainer back then. He trained me.
Wow.
And has gone on to do massive things in Asia. And having Toby's Estate Coffee was like, oh my God, we get to work with Toby's Estate Coffee. That's what it was back then. It was the beginning of all of it.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And so to hear that people still going to, he's going to start snoring.
Told you he snores.
Just throw something at him if there's a bottle there.
There's a bottle.
We'll start with the cap.
Exactly.
And then we'll graduate to
That'll definitely shake him up.
Absolutely.
They're good courses. I'd recommend anyone in who loves food or coffee, has a passion for coffee, to go and do a course, because there's a lot of companies out there that do courses, and it's hard to go behind a machine, or you might be friends at a cafe, you might make one coffee, but to actually go there, spend the day, you learn the different blends, different types of milk, how to brew milk, how to pull a shot, literally everything. I remember we were brewing the milk, and they turned the light off, and then one of the guys, milk was going everywhere, because it's literally based on your senses, touch, hear, feel. It's not literally what you're looking at, so it gives you a different perspective. It's like learning how to do archery before looking at it go into the hole.
When we were learning coffee back in the day,
when did you start?
15 years ago.
Wow.
And specialty coffee was, from a career perspective, specialty coffee was where it is now in America.
Wow.
So it had just started to become a legitimate career.
Yeah.
It was really just on the brinks of that, and I had left the corporate world thinking I'm going to make a career of this while I'm getting my music stuff together. And that's happening right now here in America. But the interesting part of it was, we were what you'd call intuitive baristas back then. So even though we had timers and we had scales and we had all of these things, I don't know why, but it didn't occur to us to weigh everything, like to weigh our dose and to weigh our shots after we'd pulled them and time them and do all that kind of stuff. And so we were very heavily reliant on our senses when it came to steaming milk, when it came to pulling espresso. We would look to see when it was blonding and what it smelt like, and we would smell every single espresso that went out. Every single, it was, I mean, on one part it's amazing because it really heightened our senses. Being the kinds of baristas we are now, where we do weigh everything and we're very aligned with the numbers, and we understand what's going on a lot more than we used to, and still nowhere near what we should. But we were fumbling our way through things. We couldn't see that back then. We couldn't see, we were guessing at everything.
It's kind of like learning how to drive. When you're on your
when you're doing it on doing it on your own, like with nobody showing you that, hey, this is what happens when you use a clutch.
But you actually, your whole mind is focused on all right, I got to put my left leg in here, my left hand, I got to do this.
We're in America, the other way.
All the way around, right hand and left hand. But yeah, it's actually training your whole mind to focus on the task at hand, which what you would have done as a learner and as a beginner. Once you get so experienced, it just becomes so natural. When I always think you always have to think how you learn a certain skill. That's how you develop more skills and become better and better and better.
Even things like steaming milk, you would have heard in your training when they talk about crying baby milk or screaming baby.
Yeah, correct. That's right.
Those are down to the senses, being able to hear the milk screaming so that we know the milk just hasn't got enough air in it, right? But on the other side of that, Decent Espresso has brought out these jugs or pitchers, for people who don't know what jugs are, and they have graduated lines on the inside of them. We could have been putting graduated lines on these jugs 15 and 20 years ago, but nobody did.
Yeah, that's right.
And just having that measurement is a really great way for us to be able to say to people, okay, so if the milk starts before you start steaming it at this point, just steam it up until this point and you'll be fine. I don't know why none of us thought of doing it.
I know. It's amazing. The simplest things come so far later on.
They've been innovative as hell. And all they are is graduated lines inside of a jug. But now that we've got these measurements, it's not that we have to rely less on our senses, but we kind of do have to, we can rely less on our senses.
Correct. No, I agree, which is coming back to being more time efficient.
Yeah.
As you said, when you have more orders, you can't necessarily put all your focus in one when you have these tools or mechanics and science backed behind the actual product and the machine that can produce a better outcome. Than the human brain faster, like a lot quicker than the human does.
Have you seen any of this talk that's been going on around automation in the coffee industry?
Yeah, there is a bit.
Are you guys into that with regards to Sydney Brunch Crawlers? Will you represent it?
I wouldn't say we'd take sides as of yet. It's still very early. Because
there's a cafe in Melbourne that has a robot making coffees.
Do they?
Yeah.
Wow.
They have a robot in the front. He doesn't make, I'm giving it a gender. It doesn't make all of the coffees, but it absolutely does make some of the coffees, where it picks it up and puts the espresso into it and all this kind of stuff.
That's amazing.
Have you guys thought of what will happen? Would that be something that's exciting and interesting for you guys to represent as a part of the brand?
I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah, based on what I believe in, I don't think so. Because
what does that mean?
I still think it's you still need a personality, you need a vibe. Two things that people love in life is something for free and recognition. So if you recognize someone...
I've never understood the first one. Sorry.
Something like if someone wants to give you a coffee cup with a little biscuit, some people appreciate it. If I was to knock on your door and say, Lee, here's a bunch of roses.
I am one of those people who always wonder what's the agenda. Whenever a brand is giving stuff away for free, I'm always wondering what that agenda is, because I don't know, maybe growing up in Australia.
Yeah, nothing comes free.
It doesn't.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm always dubious of brands that are doing that.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry to have interrupted you there. You were saying that two things people love: something that comes for free,
and recognition. So recognition in the sense of potentially an award, saying someone's name. Always call someone by their name. That's why I think robotic kind of baristas don't really fall in my values, where I think if I was to rock up to a coffee shop and someone was to say, "Hey Billy, how you going today?" I love that. It's going to put a smile on my face. I want to talk to that person. I want to ask how their morning was, what they did that morning, what they're doing for the rest of the day, that weekend. It kind of sparks.
That's important to you. That's an important part of your.
And then it gets back to what you were saying in terms of having professional baristas that know how to sell something. So you can actually, that in a sense will build profit or revenue for your business.
So where does time come into that? Because if we're saying that time is a currency,
correct,
and yet people want the personal experience,
correct,
is there a middle ground there somewhere?
I think there is, and that's based on a relationship or a connection. If you see a person on a daily basis, you're not going to sit there for an hour. It's just, you've got that window of time for them.
Yep.
But if you're in a business, you always have to accommodate to that person and work off their time. You can't necessarily suck your time and talk to them more, then they'll feel uncomfortable. You always have to know when to pull out.
I can't tell you the number of coffee machines I've been at
that imagine.
Ravi has been asked to leave after coming and visit.
I know.
He'll come and visit, and my boss will, at the time, over the last few years, he'd be like, "So you need to ask Ravi to leave."
Yeah, I can imagine.
He's fantastic. He stands at a coffee machine, he'll be talking to me or the other baristas, and he'll be selling on behalf of all of us, telling everyone what they should order and what they shouldn't order. You get this off the menu. He's a born salesman.
I know. He's very good. But I think he doesn't recognise that yet, which he will. But I think most baristas have to be able to understand that and have to treat the business as if it's their own.
That's something that
it's a complete different topic where no one will unless they're part of the business.
I wish that there was a way that we could get, particularly this is a problem in, and I hate to blow the millennial card.
This day and age.
But
I agree. People think that there's so much options out there that they can just close that page and go to another one, or close that door and go to another one. And they can't really treat something as if it's their own or treat it as a career. Where most businesses or most cafes or successful businesses do very well when they have less turnover, when they treat their employees right. When the employees love what they do, they do activities with them. Every day they just love being in a group. It's like a team. Salt Bay, I follow him a lot. He trains with his team. He'll travel the world, go to his different restaurants, and each morning he grabs his team. They go for a team run. They play soccer. Yeah, literally, he takes them out of the restaurant. They do activities outside of work, and then go back into work. They'll have team meetings. It's a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah, wow, that's great.
It's very, very important for a successful business. I find it very important. You have to know everything about the person working for your business.
It's an art form that's not caught on here yet in the hospitality industry. And by here I mean America, because people are still paying their employees minimum wage.
Yeah.
And employees still see it as this is just a minimum wage job.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that through Map It Forward we can help steer the ship differently, so that employers are more invested in their employees. What we're finding right now is, and rightfully so, if you ask me, employers are so demoralized by the hugely high turnover there is in the coffee industry. And I hear a lot of, well, I'd love to have people hang around for a few months so I feel like investing back into them.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's not happening as often as people would like to. And I can personally relate to that.
Yeah.
As a business owner, I would love to find those people, and I think I have now, find those people who just are as committed to executing on their own life plan as I am executing on their life plan.
Yeah, definitely.
In order to do that,
I think that has to be made clearly. So you got to sit down with that person. You can't just employ anyone. You got to sit down. You have to. Their values and morals have to add up to your business's values and morals. Right.
You know what I find is the missing. It's the only missing thing that I come across particularly, because I have a lengthy process of getting to know them before we have a trial period, but not really. Like they're already working for me, but they're in a trial period. I'm heavily invested in my people. I want to make sure that we identify what's your long game, like even after you leave the business, how can we help? All of these kinds of things. I feel that the thing that is missing in a lot of people is grit, like determination,
definitely.
And the understanding of how hard it is to actually achieve the massive big goals that a lot of people set for themselves. They really underestimate the journey that's required to have an extraordinary life. And extraordinary life does not equal lots of money and lots of things and a lavish lifestyle. An extraordinary life means a life where he's awake. An extraordinary life means a life where you have...
Mo, can you smile for her?
We have posted about you while you've been asleep.
Look, everyone, he's awake now.
He's awake.
He's been trying to sell iPhone 10 now. To your fans.
Yeah, he has.
He's trying to sell them iPhone 10.
So, going back to what we were saying, an extraordinary life isn't filled with bling and shiny things. An extraordinary life is filled with scars and a hard road and celebrations along the way and things that you've achieved and things that you've learned, and people, like the relationships that you start to build and grow as you move through difficult times really start to become an indicator of the quality of the journey that you've had. If there's anything that I've learnt, I've been very harsh on myself. I had a conversation this weekend with a great woman, Ellen Renecki, and we were talking about the idea that we go on these journeys and then we have this idea that we're a shit person or we're a failure or we're not achieving, or all of these things that create all this doubt in us, right? But it's not necessarily that we think that we're those people. We find ourselves asking ourselves, am I unsuccessful? Am I a shit person? Am I worthy of this? And sometimes those are the things that you need to do in order to push you to the next part of...
I agree.
If you're having those questions in your mind, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. These people who say, I never doubt myself. I'm like, well, you're a fucking King Kong then, because I spend a lot of time, I don't know if I call it doubt, but I question everything that I'm doing. And the quality of the people that I have around me contribute to that. They contribute to the quality of that questioning, I guess. You know, they're the people that have always been great at teaching me how to get less... they've taught me how to be less hard on myself and more focused on asking the right questions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
And it's been one of those things that as I got more scars, as I learnt how to operate more as someone who was really razor focused on achieving, the quality of the people that would find me in my journey would just keep increasing in the vibration that they were. I can see that particularly with someone like you, where Karim and I would talk about how excited we both are about the journey that you're going on, because you had the right people right at the beginning, and that's just going to keep going. Have you fallen, and have you started to see a difference in the way that people respond to you now that you've a couple years into that journey?
Yeah, I think everyone that's kind of above the average have fallen, but everyone's kind of taken their own path. But getting back to what you said about people in America having or being on a minimum wage work, you see, no matter if 10 people are getting paid the same, the person that's relentless and has desire and grit, as you said, will stand out from the rest, and that'll kind of stand out in 5 or 10 years time. It might not be with that boss, it might be with the next one, it might not be, someone might doubt you and say, Lee, you're not good enough, but the next person will say, she's a whiz, I love her, I want her on board.
As a woman in the coffee industry, that was something that I really struggled with. Really struggled with.
Personalities, it's a massive struggle, so you have to eliminate that negativity that comes into your life and believe in yourself to say, hey, I'm good enough.
I'm worthy of it.
I'm worthy of it.
And that's a life skill. It really is a life skill.
It comes down to what you believe in.
Learning how to differentiate between people who are talking shit to you because they're insecure themselves versus people who are advising you and giving you critical feedback to help you.
Yeah.
It's a massive life skill and takes a lot of practice to figure out, well, am I around the right people or am I around the wrong people? And, you know, I stuck around the wrong people for too long.
Yeah.
In many jobs. Because I was unable to...
I don't think you were nurtured. Someone didn't tell you, Lee, you can go do this way. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be with this person. It can be with someone.
Oh, yeah.
You can do it on your own.
I definitely did not have people in my life that encouraged me and told me, you got this. You know, like, you are doing well. And I think that's a cultural thing.
Definitely. Well, you're a girl from Ashfield, now you're in San Diego.
Yeah.
And you've started something that's magic.
Thanks.
And I think you're going places. You got to that point where you did believe in yourself and you didn't take anyone else's opinion on board more than what you believe in your actual self.
For the longest time I did, though.
Correct.
And I feel
because no one taught you or told you it doesn't have to be that way.
It was confusing to me.
Yeah.
Why couldn't figure it out, honestly. I was like, all the negative talk that was in my head, and I'm like, why does everyone make it look so much easier than what it is for me?
Correct.
But you get to a point where you're like, I'm sick of this. Like, surely if other people can do this, I can do this.
Yeah.
And so I had to use myself as that voice. It was like, okay, what if this can happen? Like, your whole life people have been telling you that you're a woman, so literally, you're a woman, you can't achieve anything.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, what if they were wrong? I didn't have anyone that actually said to me, you're a woman, you can do anything. And breaking those cultural boundaries, I was saying to Ellen, I've recently learnt this word that I think fits me very well. I know that I'm an outlier.
Yeah.
I always...
It's not a bad thing.
Well, no,
it's seen as a bad thing.
Right.
But it's not.
Outlier, innovator, like, I used to think of myself as an outcast.
Yeah.
I'm not an outcast, I'm an outlier.
Yeah.
And I think people who are outliers are always going to feel like they don't quite know if they're doing things right because they're not doing things the same as what everybody else is doing them. And you get, if you are going on this journey of trying to live an extraordinary life, you have to get comfortable with being an outlier.
I agree.
You don't become extraordinary.
It's not going to be comfortable. You're going to have to step outside. You're going to have to be on your own. You're going to be in another city. You're going to have to take on the world. It's not going to all come to you.
Not at all. And the cultural...
And you've been through that. You've seen what happens. So it's an ownership or an onus on you to teach the people coming through now that to make it easier for them, to show them that, hey, listen, I did it this way. It can be done this way. Follow my lead.
And I take that very seriously, in all honesty. Like, I have this visual in the way that I approach mentorship and things like that. My legs and where I stand will only be as strong as the shoulders that they rest upon. And it's my job to build the foundation for the legs or the feet that will step on my shoulders. And I take that really seriously. And particularly when it comes to all women, and I mentor a lot of men, but I'm particularly keen on helping pave a way for women who haven't heard that extraordinary is in your vocabulary, and it absolutely is something that you should seek to attain. It's harder than most men are going to have to achieve, but the one thing I want everyone to know is that everyone's version of hard is different. And I've recently been doing a lot of research on gender roles when it comes to a lot of things, and learning a lot about how men struggle in a different way than what women struggle when it comes to paving their path is fascinating. And there are different kinds of, I guess, the speak that we receive as women when it comes to the way that we can progress through our paths based on the men that are in our scope can be very different. Sometimes we have our fathers and the other men in our lives growing up saying and signaling us, telling that this is the role that women should play in the world. And then there are those that we witness and we look at their paths, and just from the way that they're treating us in the workplace, they're signaling us that they are more important than we are. There's very different ways to approach both those situations. One of them, the first one, where it's part of your critical learning and the way that you're programmed, that shit is really hard to deprogram. Because you then become that voice. You take on that role inside you, and that is really fucking tough to unprogram. It takes a lot of work and a lot of having to break those boundaries and question them, and then going and having to build trust with yourself again. You know, I moved to another country. I did a whole bunch of stuff that terrified the fuck out of me, but I survived them, and I learnt that I could trust myself because I did survive those things. I worked in situations in the coffee industry that were extremely unhealthy. I was working around toxic men, and being able to recognize that they were toxic situations and getting out of those toxic situations taught me I need to go look for healthier situations. Men would have no problem bridging up to me and asking me, do you want to go outside and punch this on? Like, how the fuck is this the reality that I'm dealing with? Like, what makes you think it's okay? Like, I'm a woman. What makes you think it's okay to say to me, you want to go outside and punch this on? But then what I started doing was saying, what am I bringing to this table? Because none of the men that I knew in my personal life would ever want to punch on with a woman. But what am I bringing to this situation in the coffee industry that makes a man bridge up to me at a coffee machine in front of customers and say, bitch, you want to take this outside? That's you're so talented or skilled, you challenge them. Their own insecurities are challenged by you. They see you as a threat. Right, but I couldn't I couldn't get my head around that
I know
at that
you don't
time.
see that as a point in time, but that's people that are insecure or not necessarily comfortable with themselves. If they see a threat, they want to. It's fight or flight. So
right.
It's scary in that sense. But once you kind of develop a skill or a mentality to be able to differentiate that, you kind of step aside it and pave your own way.
Yeah,
which what you've done.
It was interesting because at the time there's this guy that's saying these things to me like, bitch, you want to punch on?
Yeah.
And I'm like, a whole bunch of things are going on in my head. Like, why would this guy want to hit me? All I'm trying to do is my job. Two, why does this guy think it's okay to talk to me like this?
I agree.
Never did I think, well, he's a loser. He's an insecure little boy, because I was conditioned into men are better than women. And so I guess what I'm saying is part of going back to that analogy of making my shoulders strong enough for the feet that will rest on mine, and hopefully there will be a lot of them. It's in helping people not have to necessarily go through the extensive learning that I had to go through, and helping people figure out through this podcast. Like a lot of people that I want to come on this podcast are people who can explain those kinds of dynamics and why they happen. Because it didn't even cross my mind to say to any of my male friends, why do men do this?
I just think it's hard. I can't give you the answer because I'm not that type of person. So it's really difficult to explain something that I don't really believe in, because if someone doesn't challenge me, then I want someone to challenge me to
and that's it right there. Can you see that the difference in mindset?
It's a generation shift, I think, Lee.
Right.
Back in the day, like with the wars and armies and generations that have passed us, it was seen as a dominant side, where this day and age it's women are making more money than men. Like women are more
educated.
They're more educated. They don't necessarily need a man in their life. When men kind of are reliant to women, where they need a lady in their life. Yeah. So I think the shift is there, but it's a whole nother topic. But getting back to what you believe in and how that's kind of positioned you to put you where you are today, kind of going through that. When I don't think in the next 5, 10 years, 20 years, I don't think it'll be as hard as that.
No, and I hear you there. While my path here to get here feels like it was terribly difficult, it was also terribly satisfying.
Yeah.
What are you looking at?
I'm looking at the time.
Oh, we've only been going for an hour.
Is that all?
Yeah.
How long do you go for?
Are you tired?
No.
It's because you guys got to head back to LA, right? And we're gonna go and get dinner. We'll go for another 15 minutes or so, and then we'll head back to. Then we'll head up to Kindred. We'll just keep
the mics on us.
Yeah, right. No, but even though the journey has been terribly difficult to get to this point, because while I had people that were rooting for me, the majority of the people were not.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm grateful for that now. I wasn't grateful for it when it was happening, because it was fucking hard.
Of course.
And I hope that we can, as an industry, we can be more embracing of the people who are struggling around us. Because I noticed when you guys were coming up that the industry was unwilling to embrace you. And I would talk to people and say, and look, I was one of these people like, who are these fucking guys? And I think it took you guys a minute to figure out, oh wow, the way that we need to introduce ourselves to the industry is very different than how we have been going about it. And when I would talk to people and say, just give them a chance, like, what do you got to lose? Like, they're actually really fun guys they aren't from within the industry, but they're certainly not here to hurt the industry.
Yeah.
Just by embracing people who want to come into our sphere needs to be a lot easier than it is. Our industry is filled with a whole bunch of people that are saying, get the fuck out.
I agree.
It doesn't need to be like that. We need to be more welcoming. We need to be more willing to embrace the new people in the industry, whether they be doing what you guys are doing, you know, having an Instagram account that highlights all the great places to eat around Sydney and Melbourne, and now coming to LA and New York, or whether it be people who are trying to launch a new product. It's super important that we become open to new things and stop seeing them as a threat, you know. Are you guys focused on, when you do your posts on Sydney Brunch Crawler and Melbourne Brunch Crawler, are you as insistent on writing what you think about a cafe and the negative as well as the positive, or do you just focus on the positive?
I think I honestly haven't had a bad experience in a while.
Really?
I think because when we go places,
everyone's
they know
tailoring.
Who we are. Correct. So it's very hard I like it when I go to a cafe where the owner doesn't mention anything or say who they're presenting or plating the food to. That's a good business owner, because they actually see the work of their chefs. But most business owners, they take, like, they're on their tippy toes. They plate well, they present well, the food's cooked better than usual. I've been in places where I've had a meal and the next person behind me that I've recommended has come and tried the exact same meal and said the complete opposite to what I had.
Right.
Which is hard to, it's not, I can't do that, it's not my business, but what I've experienced is what I'm telling you.
Dude, the last place I worked in Sydney, we made them take the VIP button off the POS.
Wow.
Because it just got annoying, especially on a Saturday and Sunday when it was an hour wait to get a table. A couple of tickets would come up because bloggers were coming in. And they'd be like, VIP. It's like, you're insulting us by putting VIP
you're not better
on
than
this.
that person, just make it the same.
Not just that,
Lift
it's like,
quality.
you're saying to us that you expect us to pay more attention to VIP customers, and that is not fair to our other customers.
Correct.
If we don't know who the VIPs are, we have to lift our game for every single customer every single time. Which ends up meaning when a VIP does come in, they are going to get whatever we're going to serve them.
And then again, it lifts your quality control up within your whole support or your team. You're not necessarily taking any shortcuts.
Do you guys do paid posts?
Yes and no. It depends. We're starting to move into a different regime where we're consulting with businesses, helping them from the back end.
Nice.
From their end, we help them from our end. But at the end of the day, we'd rather teach them the tools of how to use social media and develop a network of following, create content, create videos that can boost them up. So
how's that working out?
It's doing very well.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Definitely. It's working for the clients there.
Correct. They like it. Well, we've had the success in our page, so I think pushing it on to other people, and once everyone grows, we don't want to grow on our own, we want everyone to grow with us.
Yeah.
And that'll lift the whole industry. So once that happens, it makes it a lot easier, and the quality and the professionalism is there.
I always say to the group of elixir dealers that we've got going, as well as the Map It Forward tribe that we're kind of building, we rise faster when we rise together.
Correct.
And it's so true. Where do you see Sydney Brunch Crawlers going?
We definitely want to go global. I think eventually we'll be able to set up an agency where we do consult with businesses or work with businesses. and develop kind of different avenues of marketing for them. Literally, there's not
Sky's
one.
the limit.
Yeah, there's anything. We can literally lead to anything.
We're
getting into more videos, so any cafes that want to give a different view on their kind of cafe or tell a story, we're kind of doing that through us. So we're going into businesses and we've got our camera crew that shoot or follow us around and create a story between the cafe and us, and we put that together and show the world.
And there's such an opportunity for that in Los Angeles and New York.
I agree, because people want to know more about the business. People want to know people. They want to see, they want to know a relationship.
Yeah.
How something formed, why it formed. Not necessarily like this glass. I want to know who made it, how it was made, how long it took to make.
Yeah. And if it's got elixir in it, you want to know all of that, but we aren't going to tell you fucking anything. It's going to taste better. That's about it.
Exactly.
Just have the mystery potion that you don't know anything about. So, if somebody wants to hire you, how do they go about doing that?
Drop us a DM or
on
shoot
Instagram?
us an email,
Sydney Brunch Crawler, Melbourne Brunch Crawler,
Melbourne Brunch Crawler,
LA Brunch Crawler, New York Brunch Crawler coming soon.
Let us test the market out first, and then we'll go from there. Mo's awake, so
it's dinner time soon. He's woke. He's definitely woke. All right, man, we might wrap this up and go and get some dinner at Kindred before you guys drive back to LA. Thank you. This was awesome.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure.
I'd recommend everyone to jump on board iMap It.
iMap It Forward.
iMap It Forward, definitely a good program, and I think it'll help a lot of kids and the new era, as you said, the millennials. Kind of, it'll cut all the bullshit out and push them forward.
I hope so. I really appreciate you saying
welcome.
that. And what's your main Instagram? Billy.
Personal one is Billy Ols. BILLL.
Start again.
BILLYOLSS_. But just follow Sydney Brunch Crawler.
Perfect.
You catch me there.
It was an absolute pleasure, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go get some dinner and excellent. We're done.